What's up, everybody?
What's
Hey,
up?
Want to make
Howdy ho.
sure everybody's sounding good. How's everybody doing?
doing
Good.
good.
I'm trying to read these comments. Wait a
I
minute.
got.
There's no comments yet.
Unbelievable, Kurt.
I haven't even checked. So we're on. What are we? Episode 36. We're welcome back to the HVAC Knights on Thursdays live. We got Curtis, Jake, and a special guest, Tim Destasio. What's up, man?
Woo, what? Good. Doing good. We survived the tropical storm, and I swam to get here, but I'm here.
Yes.
Do you got flooding or anything?
Yeah, man. Like everybody's yard going down the road is just underwater. But fortunately, I'm up on a little bit of a hill, but not much. I mean, we're here at the coast, so
When I bought a house, like the last house, I made sure it was in an elevated area because we get a lot of flooding too.
Yes.
It hasn't
Yes.
happened in the past couple of years, but it always used to flood, or it usually does.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a little service call out on the beach, and so the road that just right there on the where the first row of houses are on the beach, it was all flooded. I got a video of me driving through like a foot of water, man. It was crazy. The water's got nowhere to go when it rains like this with these storms.
Kurt, I don't know what you're talking about. There is comments. We got Eddie, we got Nasty, Mike, Froggy, Chris. What's up? You know, the mechanical environments. Simon just came in. What's up, everybody?
Howdy ho.
Do you see it now?
Yeah.
I see him.
Okay, just making sure.
God damn it, some bad.
Everybody's
Can you see it,
checking
Jake?
I can't see nothing. You know that. We're doomed. Oh my god. All right.
Yeah,
Where you
just
at,
this
Tim?
week.
Where you live at?
I am in coastal North Carolina,
Okay.
so
Right on.
Southport, which is kind of down by the South Carolina line. Oak Island.
South.
We're here at the beaches. So
Great song.
yeah. I don't know if I've heard of Southport.
No, you said Oak Island. It's a Zach
Oak
Bryan
Island.
song.
Okay.
Yeah, he just put out a song. Oak Island's pretty solid.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you-
I gotta
Did you get
look
any
that up, man?
bad weather over there with you in Florida?
Yeah, we didn't get too bad. It was heavy rains and winds. Again, I'm on a hill. Like Claremont is like the highest point just about in Florida. So
Oh, okay.
everything runs down. But some spots where it was flooded, it was mostly on the coast. How the hell do I get out of there?
Hold up. Tim about to roast everybody.
No, look, I don't want to be known for this.
That's too late.
It's just something I started doing.
You're in too deep, bro. It's your stick, and you got to stick with it.
Hey, everybody loves the videos.
I don't even think I'm that funny.
Everybody loves the videos because in my other podcast, people were like bringing up the cutting torch video and the other one with the clamps and stuff, and the one that I'll bring up right now is that other one. I don't even know how to say their name. Jank Heating.
Yeah, janky.
I don't know.
It's not janky.
It's not a good.
Yo, is that their name? Is that
not a
their,
good-
their real
Yeah,
name?
it's
Oh.
literally
I don't know how
janky.
you pronounce it.
Yeah, you're
But yeah.
screwed. You're in too deep on that one.
So you guys, any hard calls this week before we get into the roasting and all that?
I wouldn't say hard. It was just it was a long week. I'm exhausted. Shout
Weren't
out
you
to
asking for more work?
Stratus. Yeah, it's here. The shout out to the Stratus though, bro. That thing is it came in clutch this week. 4 pinned leaks, man. It found like pretty quickly. So I got little clips, Kurt. I'm gonna send it to you. Yes.
Cool.
Kurt,
But
it's
one
the one.
day-
It's the one that actually worked, Kurt.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm gonna need that back. You know what I'm saying? But
No,
Yeah,
I done
that-
lost
that
all confidence in them.
Kurt has some bad luck with the Infocon leak detector.
Yeah, we got bad juju.
And you, Kurt,
Yeah.
Better week than last week?
Who?
You?
No,
No. I don't know.
no. It actually this tropical storm had pulled down like cooler air from up north for a couple days, so it was windy outside, but the temperature was nice and mild.
Yeah.
I can tell by your hoodie.
Away. Always, bro.
You get some humidity calls though, man. August plus the tropical storm, you should get some. My ducts are leaking. Something wrong with my unit. And,
I had one this morning.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, sure enough.
It's always a
everything's
humidity.
condensating right now.
Yeah.
Dude,
August is like crazy humidity month here where we're at. It's worse than July.
Yeah, I went to change a capacitor today, and I had to pull out my fan just to finish doing a capacitor because it was hot.
Oh, we got a heat advisory again. Like we had a nice week and a half or so because we had storms too, and back to 105, 110.
Bro.
Good
Yeah.
grief.
I don't
The
even
dog's
want
got
to,
something. That's what it is.
Mike's like, I don't even want to get into what I had to deal with today. What you got going on, Mike?
Talk to us. That's what we're here. Oh,
How the
what
hell
are you
did he?
getting? Hey, he's taking down trees now. You know, it's his dog.
His dog always has something.
The remote, the AirPods, a soda can. Last time, I think he got a kilo somehow, but he did.
There it
He
is.
A whole different set of problems.
There will be no more AirPods around here because of him.
Look, there goes the doorknob.
Is he trained to open the doorknob?
He can actually open it. Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's trained, but he does it.
Yeah, right. He learned.
Yeah, you didn't train him to do it. He just figured it out on his own.
No.
And it's funny, Jake, I was telling you guys about, I might want to get more work here and there for filling in my schedule in between and all that. And then like right after I send you guys that text, I got like 5 calls that came in. So I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just sit this one out. Well, man, we finally got into my neighborhood, which is awesome. This week got a few calls, man. I'm like, hell yeah. Like, so because we post on the community Facebook page, all that jazz. Got past 2 days and a few calls. So, yeah.
You know something? When I was first starting, I was trying to advertise everywhere. I made flyers. I dropped them off at the mall. I put them in people's mailboxes. And one of the things that I did.
That's a federal offense.
I know.
You want me?
Can you make a video talking about that for me?
The mailman had to stop me and told me I shouldn't have been doing that.
That's a good
We
guy.
still get
But
that.
one of the things I tried was I put an ad on Craigslist.
Ooh,
Some people go to Craigslist looking for work, and that was a complete waste of time.
Yo,
Yeah, people go to Craigslist and look for a lot of other things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
I was trying to do anything though. I was looking for work everywhere I could.
Oh, I remember those days. Yeah, I put out. I was too cheap to have yard signs made when I started my first business that I made them myself and like put them in my yard, and they looked awful. But I was just like, I don't have $75 to make a bunch of or have them made up. Go to a sign company. So I like went to the arts and crafts store, and it was terrible. But I remember those days. You're just doing anything you can to like get your name out there, and grassroots, man.
Yeah, we've done the flyers, the brochures, cards, and restaurant to restaurant, just giving them out in person. It works when you need work.
Did you put them in people's mailboxes?
No. Do you put ads in the phone book?
Yo,
I
Curtis
used
was the yellow.
to. I quit doing that.
Just this past month, right, Kurt?
Yeah, I quit paying that bill just recently.
I knew it. I remember him saying that. It was like, my man was still rocking the yellow pages.
Yeah, I have one little ad that just said climate control by appointment only. I mean, a tiny little ad in heating and in cooling, and that was it. That's all I had. And they were still charging me like $1,000 an issue.
Get the hell out of
Good
here.
grief.
God dang, son.
So
All right.
Yeah.
I
It paid for itself, I guess.
I didn't think they still made the yellow pages until I came home one day and someone had slung one into my front yard. It had been rained on.
Broke a window,
Like,
knocked out the
yeah, like, they
azaleas,
still make
everything.
these. Yeah. I mean, pretty much when you're delivering the yellow pages, you're pretty much just saying, "Here, you throw this away."
Yeah.
It's are we even using these anymore?
yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty's like, I have ads on Craigslist. I don't know what that means, but he's on there.
Not good.
You might need to specify.
He's got personal ads in Craigslist.
Personal ads.
That's
there
the
you
bad thing. It's like, when you start describing heating and air, they kind of start sounding like personal ads. And I think people can get them confused with that. And then you start getting the wrong kind of calls.
Yeah, the calls you don't want.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you want me to bring up some stuff? Share it on
Let's
screen.
do
Yeah.
Let's see if this works.
Right.
All right, it worked. So this is the one I was telling you about, Jake. Jank. I'm pretty sure that's not how you say it, but Jank Heating.
Oh, that's how we're going to say it.
Janky.
Oh, it is.
So if you go to their page, let me see if I can fix this.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I will say, Tim, I think you scared him off of actual heating and cooling because they are not posting.
I know. Yeah, they've been doing everything but heating and cooling.
They are not posting any more heating and cooling videos.
No, it's not.
Oh, these are the ones with the interviews. Okay.
Yeah, but I just wanted to.
Stuff.
I just wanted to point out they're at like a pig fair or something. They're doing like these weird memes.
They talk stuff about like veterans, and I'm like, I'm not racing that. I'm not.
And they talk a lot about indoor air quality, I believe.
Yeah.
So
there's a couple that are on deck that are coming from Janky about indoor air quality because they're definitely. I got a few on deck.
Tell us more about your PCOs.
Let me see if I can get this, or let me see if it works. Let me know if you guys.
What does an air conditioning coil do?
The outside unit is what pulls the heat from inside the home out, and then the inside coil is the one that the outside unit pushes cold refrigerant to, that the blower blows the air across. That's what makes air conditioner.
What does an air conditioning coil do?
The outside
I don't
unit
think
is
that
what.
Was that loud or was that just in my headphones?
No, that was good.
Okay.
No, you're good. That was.
It blew out my eardrum. That's why I said, "Oh shit."
Oh.
That's not the one I was looking for actually. This one.
Explain radiant heating.
Basically, it's a circle coil. They make U shapes and they glow red. Air blows across them. That's what radiant.
This is
a lot of the older homes have radiant heating.
Heat rises.
It's just it's outdated. That's what radiant heating is.
Way to put it.
Yeah, it's
Way
outdated.
to put it. Where the heat kind of just falls through the walls, right, and the ceiling.
So that
just falls through the walls.
So that is not what radiant heating is. Do you guys, any of you guys see any of this type of stuff?
That's certainly one way to explain it.
I had when I lived in Maryland, we had electric radiant heat through the ceiling. It was crazy. But
yeah.
Did it just fall through the walls?
Of course, bro. From the windows down to the walls, down to the floors. How else was it going to heat? No.
Yeah, I mean, when I remixed it, it was like I found this little kid that was like reading out of the science book, and he's like, "Heat rises, hot air rises," and then just over and over, it just falls. And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, it falls. It just falls." Just put it on a loop because, I mean, are there people out there that think that hot air falls?
Dude,
I thought we were past this.
You wouldn't believe what some. I got in an argument with a guy one time about water. He said water flows south. I said, no, it flows to the lowest point. And he argued with me for like 20 minutes that water flows south.
It's uphill, bud.
Goes uphill around the corner as long as it goes south.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like some of these, man, I'm finding that people are arguing. Like I did one. I don't know if you're pulling this one up, but I did a while back. A guy was checking gas leaks with a lighter, and look,
oh no, I didn't find that one.
But there were people that were just like vehemently supporting it. Like that is the only way to do it. Like you just strike that lighter. If you smell gas, you got to strike that lighter and find that leak. And look, we've all done it.
Yeah,
but is it the best way?
It's the only way.
Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy. Like when I do these videos,
I'll give you
find out how many hacks are in our industry. Yeah,
I'll give you an even better one. How about you're bleeding the lines and you want to check and make sure that there's some gas coming through the lines?
Yeah.
And you light a lighter.
Yeah. I got a story on that. So I was working with this old timer, and he smoked like a factory. And so we were out. This is back in my commercial industrial days. I was working for first company, and we had this giant 3-inch gas line that came a quarter mile from the street into, it was a FedEx hub at the airport in Greensboro. And so, we got to bleed this line for the first time. We got like a quarter mile of 3-inch gas pipe. So we're cracking this valve, and it's just whooshing. I mean, you probably got a good 5 minutes before you start getting gas. This dude's got a cigarette in his mouth, in between his lips. And then he kind of got the shakes because he's like an old guy. So he kind of comes down there, and the gas pipe is right here. And he's like, I don't smell nothing yet. And he's got a lit cigarette right there. And he's trying to sniff it. He's got a lit cigarette, 3-inch gas line. Just, I don't even remember what. I mean, it had to have been a high pressure line because it was coming from the street. And I reached over there and turned that ball valve off. And he said, what? I said, man, you're about to kill us all. He's like, oh, it don't work that way. I'm like, no, that's exactly how it works. So I don't get it.
But did you die?
That's always the question.
No, I didn't that day.
What's up, Brian? And Brian's always working late. He's over here working on a, what is it? Cooler? Changing out the temp control?
Yeah, T49. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining.
Brian's always working. Yeah. I mean, we, like you said, we've all probably done it at one point, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let me see. Learning this on the fly. This one I could not find the original one too. So.
Yeah, I think it's because they blocked me.
Looks like he's replacing the condenser coil and the compressor. You guys are taking your whole system rejuvenations a little bit too far.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't realize how bad that was
up because he just realized his line
until you paused it.
He's getting some tape so he can cover him up.
Yep.
That's not a water hose.
Like how, dude?
The worst part is they thought they were actually doing a good job. Take a look at the caption. Okay, let's talk about why that's a really bad idea before all the hacknicians start chiming in the comments section. That kind of moisture, any kind of moisture, but
all right.
Yeah, so I do a little teaching at the end. I don't want to just roast people just to roast them. Like, I'm an educator, and so.
But that's a lot of water.
That is, and the thing is, I got people in the comments saying you could get that out with the vacuum pump. And yes, it's true. Like when I was doing industrial, we would have chillers that the evaporator would freeze and break, and we'd have gallons of water in the lines. And yes, we had to get it out. You can't just swap out a chiller, but it takes a lot of nitrogen, a lot of vacuum pump oil, and a lot of compressor oil changes. And something tells me that technician is probably not going to do all that once he puts everything back together.
But, no, those are the ones that I've seen people, like you said, in certain applications, especially on the bigger, heavier stuff. They're changing the oil like crazy, and it's all like contaminated, like it's to like the brim. Milk. Yeah, it's like milk and stuff. That's what that does. Yeah,
I think the follow up they were actually, I think, going to change the line set as well, as what I was gathering.
They were.
I hope.
Jokes.
They
Right,
were.
like,
That was just
Detroit.
maintenance. They were taking apart.
Yeah,
right.
Well, they said they got them up and going, so I cannot imagine that a line set change out is going to be.
Yeah, no, that was
them up and going.
Yeah, that was just
because the rest of the video, it was a new compressor and a new condenser coil went in there. So I don't know why. I don't know if I've ever seen a unit that lost a compressor and a condenser coil at the same time. Like at that point, why aren't we just changing out the condensing unit? Unless maybe it was R22. You know, maybe they just were going to rebuild it. So maybe it was a 22 unit.
The dryer will get it.
That's it. That's all you need.
How many dryers?
One on the in, one on the out.
Right.
Suction lines.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to put one on the suction line, then you're supposed to come back and take it all out. Like all it took was some tape, man. That's all it took was some tape.
And I've seen people do that. Now that's just like you gotta be aware of what you're doing, your surroundings, like what it is that you're about to do. Because I've seen some guys, and again, I mean they post this stuff, and it's just, you know, we try to correct them. Nobody's trying to. Yeah. I wouldn't bash on them. I mean, we just tell them, look, you did this. Did you know that? So I've seen people that forget to tape the line set exactly like that, and they're sweeping or moving dirt around, right? That's just going to go up in there too.
Yeah. But those R22 systems were resilient.
Yeah.
I mean, they could take a beating. So I'm going to tell a story that I've never told publicly before. So I had a next door neighbor that I didn't like. This is back like probably 15 years ago. And I had a next door neighbor, when he moved out of his house stayed vacant for a long time. And so at the time I had like a company truck, and I also had like a Jeep, and I started using his driveway because there's nobody in there. And I thought, well, you know, it's making the house look, you know, like there's somebody there, and, you know, there's no one there. So I just started parking my Jeep in the driveway. It was like 10 feet away from my driveway. Well, he got mad and he called me up and said something to me about it. And so I said, okay, buddy, I'll fix you up. He had an old, like, those trash can carrier units, the old round, or the comfort maker, weather maker units, whatever they were. The little ones look like a little trash can that Oscar the Grouch used to live in. He had one of those condensing units, old R22 unit. And I said, no one's living in the house. I said, I'll fix you up, buddy. So I went over there one day and I closed that liquid line and I pulled that thing down to a vacuum. And then I took my hose off the suction line, took it off my gauge. Now this thing's in a vacuum, and I put that thing into a full 20-ounce thing of Mountain Dew, and it sucked all the Mountain Dew. 20-ounce bottle. I love it. And I said, all right, you know, that thing never broke. That thing was still running when 10 years later, when I moved out of my house, my unit died before that unit died.
Oh man. That's that cool
systems are tough.
That's that cool booster or whatever they call it.
Yeah, right. Should do a video about that too. Yeah.
It was a mountain.
And you knew where all the leaks were because they all started turning yellow.
It's cold as the mountains, baby.
Yeah.
It's because it's Mountain Dew.
Yeah, man. But yeah, those 22 units were tough, so it might be all right.
I had
Kurt uses Pepsi.
Fire sprinkler went off above us one time when we were welding in.
Zero.
And it just sprayed water down into the line set.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how long ago was that?
About a year ago.
I was going to say, right before he pulled the Yellow Pages ad out.
Yeah, that happened.
It happened.
I work in hospital. That's usually where I run into those situations, and I'm just always like, please, God, don't let this happen. But sometimes
put a wet rag on it.
Yeah, you can put a wet rag on it. You can, I don't know, do
160 degrees. I think maybe is that what it is?
No, it don't take much.
Yeah,
we were like 2 feet away from it, and we had to solve it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can.
In a tight little closet, and that thing just, when they burst, it is a lot of water.
Dang. Could use a cutting torch then to finish up your joint.
At that point.
Yeah.
There's no good way to get it out. You got to pull it out with a vacuum, and I was using that fill piece, which man, I changed the oil over and over and over again.
The worst one that I ever did on a regular split system was one of those Train commercial units where you had like the control panel in the middle, and then you had 2 condenser coils and compressor circuits. It'd be like a 15-ton unit, and so they had 2 refrigerant circuits in there, and one of them had the Johnson Controls P66 fan speed control for the head pressure. It rubbed a line in the suction, and actually the suction line rubbed a hole in it. And so it leaked all the refrigerant out. Once it did, it was actually rubbing against the other circuit suction line. So that suction line stayed cold and sweating. And the water, the condensation ran down and into the little tube of the P66 and down into the other circuit. It was like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what do you do? Like, first of all, I had to like crack the rotor lock, and gallons of water come pouring out of the suction line when I cracked the rotor lock on the compressor. And yeah, you show up twice a day to change your vacuum pump oil after 2 straight days of doing nothing but nitrogen purges. And eventually the oil gets slightly less and less milky, and eventually you can get it down to 500 microns. But yeah, I mean, that stuff happens.
That's what I'm saying. I see it a lot on bigger equipment. And with that, of course, you're going to do or be there as long as you need to get it all out. On this residential one, I don't know if they did all that.
No. I don't get the feeling they were that thorough. I don't think they were dealing with the top brass.
Happens. They'll get it down to about 1,000. It's still milky. Can't see it from my house is what they say.
But the problem is, like, that moisture turns into acid, and that acid etches away at the copper windings, and it distributes copper plating all up inside the compressor. The inside of the compressor is going to look spectacular.
Yes, the copper plating. That's what I forgot about. It just ruins everything. Once you get all the reactions inside, you got to get all that moisture out.
Yeah, you do.
Or don't put it in there.
And POE oil. So let's say that there was some oil in that suction line. That POE oil is hygroscopic, so it absorbs all that moisture. And unlike the old mineral oil that you could pull that out, POE oil and PVE oil doesn't release that moisture. So once it's there, it's there. And now you got to just try to get the oil out. And are you really going to get all the oil out with nitrogen? I mean, how much nitrogen do you have to blow through the system to spray a bunch of oil out? That's kind of an inefficient method of doing that, right? Why would you put yourself in that situation on purpose? It's just careless.
Mike,
makes for good humor.
Ever had a discharge line leak in the drain pan? It's a good way of getting water in the system. Yeah, I see that a lot because I do refrigeration. So a lot of times I've seen it in these small walk-in boxes, but also these under-counter coolers and freezers. You know, they run that little coil that goes in the drain pan and all that, and they almost always leak. And then, like, I've worked on them, I've repaired them, I've changed out that part. You try to get it down as much as you can, but it is what it is. You're just asking for it because you put it in the water, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But those are small units. A lot of times they just buy a new one.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see it on any other application. Or I don't think you do.
Mm-hmm.
We got, I was going to bring this up, Jake. eCast. Busy Air was voted best air conditioning service in Winter Garden Local Magazine.
Shout out. No big deal. Yeah, no, we were.
Awesome.
I was gonna do a whole video to it. Well, maybe I'll upload it at some point. But yeah, it was cool.
Do it.
Ooh, I thought I did.
My fans are gonna be disappointed I didn't do a video today.
I saw that.
My man Kurt, you're more disappointed in yourself than anything. You just let yourself down. It's okay. 360 videos a year out of 365 ain't bad, Kurt.
They got about 1,300 more that they can watch.
Exactly.
Exactly right.
Oh, Mike says he's had to fix. I don't know what that noise is. Mike was like, unless the restaurant is cheap, they'll ask you to fix it and vacuum it for 2 days. Yeah, as long as you get paid for it.
Is that?
Yeah.
That's not me. Is it? I didn't do anything. I don't hear the noise.
It's like boom.
I never liked leaving my vacuum pump anywhere though, especially not overnight.
That's true, man.
Oh, this is something I had somebody reach out to me about. Have you ever had someone unplug your vacuum pump and the vacuum that you've already pulled in the system sucks the oil back out of your vacuum pump and now your lines are oil logged? Have you ever had that? You have?
Yeah.
I've never had that happen before.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've got this Milwaukee vacuum pump. If I don't turn off the valve at the pump, before I turn off the pump, the oil will go into my vacuum line.
You did say that.
Wow.
I've never had
that. I
that.
didn't think that was possible because you're pulling off the top of that. That has got that's some pull for it to pull oil from your sump all the way to the top. Wow. Okay. I told him I'd never run into it. He said it eventually, most of it came out. I said, well, you want most of it to come out because I don't know what kind of system he was working on, but all of a sudden you insert another pint of oil. That's probably going to oil log something. It's going to be getting the coils and restrict your.
You got to watch it. Normally, mine accumulates in my suction hose.
Okay, gotcha. Good to know.
We need a video on that.
If I valve it off at the service valves with my valve core removal tool, and don't shut it off at the vacuum pump, that's when it happens. It goes into my hose.
I guess if we're trying to avoid that and we're trying to do best practices, then we would shut the valve off and do a decay test. So we're isolating our vacuum pump, and then it would prevent it from at least getting into the system. But I got the one single, the fat hose that goes from my vacuum pump straight into I usually do the suction line because it's bigger, and then I take the straighter valve out. And then I check my micron on the other side on the liquid line. That way I'm checking the worst case scenario. So I got little, the valve core remover, and I just turn that valve off and I do a decay test first. And so I guess that's why I haven't run into it. But,
that's my preferred way of doing it too. Sometimes I get lazy and I use my manifold.
Unbelievable. This is get him out of here.
Can you make a video on that?
This is the only way I do it. Matter of fact,
there's a lot of people who do it that way.
There is, man.
I know a lot of installers that do it that way.
Yeah, they'll leave it there.
That's the only micron gauge that they have that works. Is in their manifold.
The whole time they're like, it's my lunch break. You know what I mean? This is when you go eat your lunch, and it's like it's been 30 minutes. No telling if it's if you pulled it down, but. Oh man!
Or you come back from lunch and you realize that the valve on your vacuum pump's been off the whole time.
The whole time.
You're like, no. And then you got some hard choices to make. You're like, do I just full send or should I do this the right way?
Time is money.
You heard it running, right? I mean, it was running.
Dude, on one of my first installs, I'm talking, what was it 2010 on one of my first installs, we pulled out the Schrader cores to pull a vacuum. They were using the manifold, but they released the Freon before they put the Schrader cores back in. And they didn't have Schrader core removal tools.
They're screwed.
So we had to go get a tool and take the hose off and put the tool on real fast, and it was a mess.
Yeah, I worked with a guy that did that. We had just hired him. And he was going to be our saving grace. He was going to save our service department, man. And we fixed the unit, and I pretty much did everything there. And then he was messing around with it, and we'd taken the Schraders out. And then we went from because back then I was pulling vacuums through my manifolds, and so we went from nitrogen test to vacuum, to charging it, to packing it up, got ready to take the hoses off, and.
Boom.
I just happened to look on top of the unit, it's a package unit, and I said, are those Schrader valves? Where did those come from? And it's just all right, we're gonna
You're
put
gonna have
on
to
a
do
glove, and we're gonna get some electrical tape. We're gonna wrap it around a little Schrader tool, and
Yeah.
we're gonna do this. Oh yeah, I would never try that again. But yeah, somehow we.
What I have found the easiest thing to do is take the back off your Schrader tool, open it up, screw it on to the hissing Schrader, screw it on,
Yeah.
and then turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
That could work too. I think on this one, I was on the suction line and the discharge line, so there was no liquid. There was just quite a little bit of oil, hot oil. Yeah. So, but yeah, if it was a liquid line, I would be coming on this podcast like this, just no, just nubs.
They're gone. Yep.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I have burnt my fingers pretty bad trying to save some R22.
Right? Oh, dude, that's like the worst situation to be in when you're just
you got to let it go.
Either that or you're like, just a couple more screws. You got this.
Right. Yeah.
Your fingers are just wrecked, bro.
Yeah. When I used to teach classes, you're getting people to put gauges on and off for the first time. And we'd all huddle around. I'm like, all right, here's how it's going to go. We got low loss fittings, which is a lot better than we had years ago, but it is going to, start spraying, and you have to commit. Mm-hmm. I do not want anybody going, run away from it. Like, no, you have to commit. And like, we're going to wear a glove, but you need to learn that you've got to commit. And yes, none of us can feel our fingertips, and you chose this life, but you got to commit.
You gotta that's the one thing is you can't be afraid, because I remember I had a hard time when I started in school, like trying to hook up gauges and all that. And I learned real quick, if you just if you slow down or get scared or back off of it, that makes it worse. That's just gonna let everything out. So like you said, you gotta commit. If it's leaking like something messed up, let it go. But other than that, go on quick. Some stuff I switched to ball valve adapters on my gauges now. I prefer that versus the quick connects. I've had a lot fail on me, so I don't like using them. I just prefer the valve.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I started using, because I only break out my manifolds if I'm moving gas now. But even on those smart probes, I've got the Schrader valve depressor tool.
I have the Appian ones.
Screw your and so there's like no loss at all. Like you go ahead and screw that thing on there, and then you depress the Schrader.
And people have asked me why I have them on there if the probes are like quick connects, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with
you still sometimes though.
Yeah, you still get some a little bit, and it's just to be safe.
Very little refrigerant in the systems you work on.
But I do refrigeration, and I get those weird angles where they put these service valves, like they put them in the worst spots on these condensers and walk-in boxes, where like I can only turn it like a couple clicks at a time. I'm there for like 5 minutes.
They're spraying. You're like, come on.
I'm there for like 5 minutes just trying to hook up my probes.
Gary, are you like that with the Schrader valves down in there by the compressor? Those old package units that sat real flat, they had connections that were down by the accumulator and the compressor, and you couldn't reach them.
Yeah. The worst for spraying on you were like the Train XE or XL, like the old 12 SEER Train R22 units. Like as soon as you looked at that Schrader valve, it would start spraying at you. Like you would just barely touch it. I would try to adjust my hose so that, I would have the thing all the way screwed on before it even touched the Schrader valve. There was nothing I could do. It was just, as soon as you touched it, it was all over the place.
The ones that got me, you remember those Goodmans that had the Schrader valves on the outside facing out, but they were recessed into the metal, and you had to reach down in the metal to get the service valves off. Little residential dedicated horizontal package units. There was no room for your fingers, and you couldn't do it fast, and it would burn you.
But hey,
so you guys see it too, because I see it a lot in my stuff.
Well, I mean, Goodman it makes the best unit according to one of those videos that I roasted. Did you happen to get that one?
I didn't pull it up.
I can get behind some Goodman.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Goodman.
Yeah,
that was the guy that smacked his teeth and said something like, "Let me tell you something."
Yeah, girl, let me tell you something. I'm like, yeah, if you hear that, he's lying to you. Like he's about to overinflate, something that does not work. Like,
but they asked him what was the best or worst.
Yeah, it was the best because I guess they're a Goodman dealer.
Oh,
and so they've got like the marketing girl, and she's all done up, and she's like, "Okay, Christian, what's the best air conditioning unit?" And they're leaning on a Goodman unit, and I'm like, I know good and well he ain't about to point to that Goodman unit. Yes, he did.
Hey, we have a Goodman unit in our house, not by choice.
Yeah, I mean,
the new redesign.
I was a Goodman dealer when I first got into business, and but I also ran a lot of warranty calls that were not my fault.
Oh my God! Goodman.
Can we all agree?
You know what? Goodman was doing so bad with their copper coil. When they went to aluminum, I was just hoping it would be better, and it wasn't.
It
just never worked.
Yeah, we have.
Can we agree that Lennox makes the best coils, though? Can we agree on that? I just had to do one. It was fucking terrible. I'll stupid. Can't stand them.
You know, the best coils I've seen on the market, those old 30-year-old aluminum coils that Carrier used to make, slant coils. That were all aluminum. They were all aluminum, and they had screw joints to them. Those things didn't leak.
Back in the day, the copper coils didn't leak, man. That's been something just in the last 15 to 20 years when they started with the SEER requirements, where they just can't squeeze any more energy out of these things about the corners.
The GWP on that, huh?
The copper so thin.
Right.
It's more efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn right it is. Oh, man.
So let me pull up another one real quick.
If you could.
So, and we'll go with this.
Oh, this guy, full system rejuvenation.
Do any of these do any of these cats like message you after the fact?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! My bad.
Oh, it's a full system makeover. To get them going for now.
Makeover.
This is what the unit looks like.
Oh, this is a crazy one, actually.
I mean, it does need a makeover. Yeah, I mean,
needs a cleaning.
Contactor.
Yeah.
Change the capacitor. I'm gonna add a hard start kit for the compressor.
Of course.
Oh, now I remember.
Right. Replace the condenser fan motor. Then I'm gonna go inside and I'm gonna replace. I don't know if y'all can see. It's pretty dark. I'm gonna replace the blower motor, capacitor, and I'm gonna clean the blower wheel. That's almost full system makeover. And,
why are you replacing the blower motor?
Well, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, or the condenser fan motor. What did it ever do to you?
You have no idea the amount of amps.
I mean, you pretty much replaced the unit at that point.
I was gonna ask you guys, do you guys replace all the motors and everything?
That's pretty steep.
Those are not predictive repairs to me.
I did have a situation where I replaced, both condenser but they both failed with big storm. Condenser fan motor went out, and I was like, it's pretty expensive.
I can imagine.
It's one of those old Train XLIs, so.
Well, for one, the terminology because there's another one with the I guess that's a different thing, but like the hard starts, like the super boosters or the
let's talk about that.
What is it, the additives, I forgot the terms they use for those, like the cool booster, or I don't know what they call those, makeovers, the capacity.
Wait a minute, I haven't heard about these cool boosters. What's that supposed to be?
Well, like that I don't have any videos on that, but like the additives that they tell you to add to your system, and it makes the refrigerant even colder than what it is or whatever. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah.
Y'all forgive me, but what in the world is that?
Well, I guess I've had it pitched to me.
Is it another refrigerant you're supposed to add to it or something? It sounds
I've never looked into it, actually.
It's just Mountain Dew.
You should have done a Coors Light next time.
Well, even some of the leak dyes advertise
are always blue.
even some of the leak dyes advertise that they make your system colder or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there any particular leak dye you could tell us about that would like?
Well, I'm not sponsored by one anymore.
They can show me how they do that. You know,
to see if they work. You know,
well, those leak dyes are a tiny little bit amount of leak.
It's all little.
Yeah. I just have a problem with using like hairdresser terms when describing HVAC. I am not going to say makeover, rejuvenation. You know, I'm going to give your system
give you a blowout,
hot stone full body massage. I'm not doing that to your air conditioning system. Like I'm not lowering myself to those terms. You're going to have to. I mean, I get trying to explain things to Joe homeowner that doesn't understand technical stuff, but we don't have to stoop that low. And then you see that all it is just it's a sales pitch to do a bunch of work that unit probably didn't need. It probably needed a contactor, a capacitor, and a coil cleaning, and just a good once over. But
like on maintenance, I do, right. It's like the coil cleaning, clean out the blower because those get caked pretty bad too. And I'll check the capacitor most times, like unless it's been there for a while, it'll be out of range, or like if it's been really hot, that's what kind of kills those things. But contactors get pitted really easily. I don't change them like several times a year or anything, but like if it's pretty pitted, you change them out. Other than that, if nothing else is broken, I'm not messing with it.
Yeah. I change out contactors and capacitors. I don't want a service call.
Yeah, those are the callbacks.
Maintenance on the system. And I'm trying out something here. At my old company, we had a 60-day no callback guarantee after we did a VM. And so, and you were never going to get charged.
Yeah, you make all the recommendations.
Then you change out all the motors.
That's the thing. Like you got to write everything up, and if they don't go with it, then sorry, you don't have the 60-day guarantee.
Exactly.
But with this company, I'm actually offering a 90-day guarantee because I am charging a buttload for if I go out and service your unit, like it costs a lot of money, but I want to be able to walk away with that guarantee. Over $350 if I do like the full system rejuvenation. But this is my question to you guys.
Head to toe.
This is my question to you though. So do you automatically pull the blower wheel and clean it every time?
Well, that's a good question.
Do you charge extra for it, or
how do y'all
handle that?
I charge extra for that.
It's
That's
extra.
Not typical for me.
Yeah.
If it's really bad.
So I have 2 tiers. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm
no.
delay, so
yeah.
sorry.
If it's just like a light one, and you can just pull it out and kind of like dust it off,
brush it.
Whereas you don't need to fully remove the motor, I guess, in a sense. But if we have to take it out, it's and take the hull, take the wheel and the motor off the wheel.
Yeah.
Take it out, wash it, clean it. Yeah, because we do. That's similar to us. I try to brush it off in place or out like a little bit, clean it up as much as I can. If they want to pay for it because I do RTUs, then we'll disassemble it and take it out and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
which
I guess
they never
that's kind
do.
of what I'm doing. Like my typical cleaning is that's a little over 3. I don't, and then I offer another tier where I include the blower wheel and the evaporator coil cleaning, because if you're going to pull the blower wheel, you might as well at that point do the evaporator, and that's like a deep cleaning, super cleaning, whatever. I've toying different names. Certainly not a rejuvenation, but I have like 2 tiers. So a lot of times I walk up to a unit for the first time that's been neglected, and it needs like the super cleaning. Mm-hmm. But if I start taking care of the unit, then from that point on, it just needs a good yearly cleaning, and we don't get into all that other stuff. And so I don't feel right charging them for the higher tier if I'm not doing the higher tier work every time. But I don't want to give away the lower tier work either, because I mean that you go into cleaning an indoor coil and pulling a blower out. I mean, you've added an hour to your job, and you need to get paid for that.
Yeah, I have a similar deal with our ice machines. We do it at a hospital though. They want it so often because they want it quarterly that I don't like to do the full. Like we do clean it, sanitize it, all that, but like I'm not gonna be like. Sometimes we just need to go change the filters and kind of check things over because it's already like we're already seeing it. We're on our third trip. They're staying super clean because they're on top of it. So if it doesn't need it or need us there for hours, I'll cut back a little bit, and then their price reflects that. That's just the way we do things too.
Yeah.
Same thing with
people to pay for things they're not getting.
Yeah, because the same thing with the AC unit. If they're on top of it and they take us up on our whatever maintenance plan we want to put them on, it's going to get easier every time, and it's going to take less time. Where it's going to be, you don't need this every time. Like I know people like double row coils, right? I'm not splitting. At least here they don't get that dirty. I'm not splitting them every few months if it doesn't need to be. Like that's like a once a year type deal or something.
Yeah, Mechanical Environment's got a good comment here, and I was, I agree. With proper filters, the wheels shouldn't be dirty, and neither should the evaporator coil, because if your dirt has gotten past the filters and those stuff so that's a really good indicator of duct leakage or cabinet leakage or filter bypass. And so if you see that, then those are good opportunities to also make improvements. Like, look, I got to charge you $479 or whatever for my full system rejuvenation, but once we rejuvenate, we shouldn't have to rejuvenate if you let me fix your ducts and maybe upgrade you a better filter and all that stuff. So those are good ethical sales opportunities, unlike the guy that got caught on Inside Edition. I know we're getting to that at some point.
Oh yeah.
I'll pull that up.
Y'all please do. Y'all been teasing this. Y'all go ahead and get to that.
We're almost there, Kurt. Hold on.
Can I talk about a filter bypass situation? Just had that today where had a filter back they had a filter back as their main filter, and just realized there's another return that does not have a filter in it. And when I took everything off, took pictures of the blower and the coil, and was like, we had some bypass, and I was like, we got the dirt, dust, and debris, yada yada yada. Scheduled that to come back out next week and clean her up and put a filter back on.
What I've seen bad about that is animal hair gets past the filter.
Mike's bringing up all the fur coats that you've cleaned.
Oh yeah.
And Kurt, you've seen the one that, and I want to say I brought it up with you, Tim, when we did the Reliable podcast, the candle, the one with the candles. That was your video.
Yeah.
That was
these people fanatics. I mean, it has left a black grease film on their filters, on their coils. Like every 6 months, I got to go out there and wash a coil, and it's one of those micro channel coils, and I'm trying not to put chemicals on.
Yeah, that's crazy. And they've been linking bad air quality, like VOCs, to a certain type of corrosion that they're trying. I don't know how legit this is, but they're trying to blame the epidemic of leaky coils on high VOCs in air, where people are just have really dirty air, and it's causing a chemical reaction. I don't know if it's formicary corrosion or a different type of corrosion, but they're starting to see links of that. It's not confirmed yet, but yeah, that's a thing. So back in my industrial days, I'll tell another quick story. I used to take care of a manufacturing plant that made school buses, and so they had a paint booth that they would spray all the primer on all the parts before the parts got assembled, and they pretty much had a spray booth that did nothing but had a conveyor belt that came across it with parts hanging on hooks, and they would just spray primer all day long. They just made primer and sprayed primer, and it would fall into a pit, and they would just recycle it and spray it. Well, right above that spray booth was a return to a 10-ton train split system, and you could not change filters often enough. And so every quarter, I would go in there and do like a hard coil cleaning, like an evaporator coil cleaning using like the harsh acidic coil cleaner. And eventually, after 15 straight years, I'd taken care of that plant since I was 19 years old. The fins started eating away, like the unit was sort of freezing up because it couldn't exchange heat. But the condensate that would come off that unit came down a 1-inch pipe, and it went out the back of the building into a creek, and the creek went into a pond. And so the EPA or whatever, they got onto the plant because the paint was getting into the creek in the pond, and the ducks were dying, and they got tired of like having dead ducks. So instead of fixing the problem, the plant just bought more ducks, and so they would just put new ducks in the pond. And say they fixed it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's awesome.
Well, you got
our ducks in a row.
That's one way to fix it.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to the other videos so we can get to the last one.
Right.
Okay, I had one more before we get to that one. This was probably one of my favorite ones.
Oh God.
So
this guy deserves all the...
yeah, I guess he does. Everybody makes mistakes, right? So let me just play this real quick.
Sure.
Okay, doing another service call here. At the side of the house, we have an R22 train, no heating. When I came, I put on my gauges. This is R22. Look at the superheat is 47. And suction line should be about 70-ish. Evaporator coil temperature is 35.3, which is not bad. But then look at the suction line, it's 82. Look at the superheat. Superheat is 47, so I know that it's low on refrigerant, right? And the unit, if you look at the side, it's a tray, right? R22. You go around the other side, look at the rating plate. It's a 13 SEER. That's the model number. Serial number is here, right? And the manufacturer date is July 2007. It's now July 2024, so it's 17 years old. And the refrigerant type is R22. In Ontario, we don't really use that anymore because the government banned it. So the best point of advice is to replace the unit.
I bet it is.
Stuff is very expensive.
Ain't gonna do a leak search?
Based on the numbers I'm seeing here, it's not looking good. So I'm gonna do
Look at his numbers.
Diagnostic and check downstairs.
I can't.
Yeah.
But his probes are right there on the hoses. How's he going to get up?
It's clamped onto the hoses.
So I brought up the comment because people have been calling him out about the temperature clamps, right? But you can tell on screen that it says 82 degrees. No suction line.
They both
is
say
be,
82.
Well, yeah, they both say the same temperature. That's a dead giveaway.
Right. Yeah.
So this one called him out, and he's like that he already took his readings and it's saved, and he's playing it back, and then he goes, "It saves to the testo, or do you not have one?" As if it's our fault that we don't have testo gauges, whatever. I mean,
I think, I've been there before where I grab a set of readings and then I take my stuff off.
Yeah,
you're going to shoot
up.
a video. You need to you put it back on just for looks. I mean, because we're going to
always.
But he's adamant that it's 40-degree superheat because of the 80-degree temperature clamp, which is not even hooked up.
Which,
so.
When you do the math, it's exactly what it is. Like
what
the
it
outdoor
showed.
Temperature was probably 82 degrees, and so was his hoses.
And he was
outside.
Adamant that that's what the problem was.
Right. Right.
Well,
and it's R22, eh?
Yeah. So, okay, real quick, you guys, would you repair it or replace it?
I'd do a leak search.
Leak search. Check your dryers and your TXVs. Anything else that might be causing
5 recommendations. You know what I mean?
Low pressure and
yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard to either.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's been dirty ass air, bad airflow, dirty filter,
yeah.
Etc.
And it does, at least to me, because I've done a lot on the commercial side, like converting it to a replacement refrigerant doesn't take much either.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were using Blue On for a while, especially when they came on hot and heavy about 5 years ago, and we were doing a lot of Blue On conversions. We really liked it. I used some of the other ones and started losing compressors. And I was like, yeah, 99. That's a great way to sell a new unit 6 months later.
Which one? The MO99?
Yeah, the blue jug, right? That was MO99. And you had to put more of it.
Yeah, because I got scared of it and I asked around and I got like negative feedback on it because I went up to a rooftop where they had like 4 RTUs and these were Lennox units that had like 3 compressors to each one, right? 3 circuits. Mm-hmm. They were all converted to MO99 and there was a graveyard of compressors up there. And then all these new compressors were dying too.
I was doing the same thing at that same manufacturing plant. We converted one over. And it was a train unit, and we started snapping the compressor shaft from the motor shaft, like whatever that coupling is, on scrolls and recips. I think whatever. Yeah, like there was mechanical failures where the motor was shearing away from whatever the motor was driving on both recips and scrolls. I even went to Koolin scrolls. Mm-hmm. And it was shearing them off. And I was like, okay, well, I must be losing oil. It's not carrying the oil back to the compressor. I take the old compressor out and I pour the oil out. And I had exactly the factory amount of oil in the compressor, but somehow it was shearing the shafts. And finally, they just replaced the unit. But yeah, the MO99 was bad, man. Yeah, and it was.
If Jason says it, I trust.
And I had the POE oil on them too. Like I converted to POE. I made sure I did that, but. Yeah, it was. That was a bad one. I never had any issues with Blue One. Blue One was good.
Does Blue One have? Which one was Blue One?
TDX 22.
Oh, I never used. I never used that one.
R458. I think it had a different number, but it actually, because at that point when I started doing Blue Ones, I was into Measure Quick, and like if
they let you take screenshots now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's huge. But yeah, so I pulled the factory charge when we pulled out the R22 was like 6 pounds. We'd put back 5.2 pounds and the unit would be running great. And I would actually pick up a half a SEER of efficiency just by changing out the Blue One. Like it was a great refrigerant.
I just
really in the refrigerant game anymore.
Yeah, I just stuck to they're not. I just stuck to 407C. That was what I believe Koolin recommended.
That's beast.
So I went with that and I never had issues. So I completely skipped the MO99 just because of all the stuff that I saw.
Yeah, the only thing is like on a lot of older units that had mineral oil, you'd have to, make sure you put POE oil in it. But a lot of times we were doing those conversions on compressor replacements. So if I was yanking a compressor out of there, I was going back with a compressor and I just specified POE
That's the
oil,
easy way.
And then we were good.
Yeah, you're good.
But, yeah, MO99, you end up putting like 3 more pounds than what you needed. It just everything was worse.
Which is weird because 407C was also less that you were putting back in, and it told you that. But I don't know. I saw that and I was like, we're gonna steer clear away from that one, and I got lucky, I guess.
God,
it's getting late for me. I might have to drop off.
All right, well, you're gonna miss this one then.
You haven't seen this one, Kurt? It's all over the algorithm. Go ahead.
Hold on, I'm trying to play it.
It's estimated nearly 90% of U.S. homes use air conditioning, and with the current heat wave, there's a good chance yours is on.
It's only 3 minutes.
There is nothing worse
I'll
than
skim
when
through
your
it.
AC breaks down in the summer, but can you trust the repairman
Just get to the end.
Lisa Guerrero has our hidden camera investigation.
They disconnect a wire.
How are you?
Yeah.
Come on in.
To find
they get
out
2 guys to
where are they?
do it right.
Then we had Michael Irapino with Edison
Stop scrolling when you see dreads or a white shirt. It always gets good when you see the white shirt.
So basically they set up cameras to where they can actually get really good footage. These guys loosened a wire and then they called. I think it was 3 in this video. So let me see if I can skim through it.
3 of them. 2 of the guys were real good about it.
This guy, I don't know who he's with, but he passed.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one.
Oh yeah, back it up a little bit.
But look,
he set up an umbrella to do this.
I just want to, I would just want to point out, he has an umbrella, right? It looks like it's cloudy too.
Yeah.
He has that pop-up stool as well. This guy's like setting up to camp out here.
Well, you're making that kind of commission, you can afford those accessories.
Unfortunately, there was one in the bunch who spoiled
Oh
a
no,
perfect
you gotta fix the umbrella. It's not quite
from a
right.
company called Gold Medal Service examined
I love the camera
angles.
angles.
Dropped the panel. Come on, man.
Bad news.
It's not cooling efficiently, and you're losing it. Okay, so there's a leak in the system.
Okay, so there's a leak in the refrigerant.
Yes, it's a microscopic leak.
He's trying to tell there's a microscopic leak somewhere. Is that true?
No, it's not. It's not true.
His price to fix that non-existent leak?
We're looking at about $1,736.
$1,736? That's really expensive.
Time to reveal who I really am.
So Thor, I'm not really the
Thor.
homeowner. I'm Lisa Guerrero with Inside Edition, and we know that air conditioning
Look at his
unit
face.
does not need all the repairs that you just told me it needed. All you needed to do was to connect 2 wires that weren't connected. Were you trying to upsell me?
He packed up his gear and drove off. He took
Gun
off
in
in
it.
such a hurry, he left this tool bag behind.
I'm happy to
Don't
say
worry,
that
he won't need it on the next call.
Nailed it. We found it right away. We only had one bad apple of the bunch.
We reached out.
Can you imagine?
And they caught like that truck. It's like Gold Medal Services or Gold Medal.
Yeah.
Oh, they showed it for a good while there,
yeah.
so you knew.
Big yellow and blue van. I mean,
Now they said the company wouldn't reach back, or they wouldn't answer comments or anything. They wouldn't comment back. So that company, I don't know what happened. Everybody's in the comments like that's going to be a nightmare for that company now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, those companies always have lawyers on retainer because they are constantly either suing people or it's something about people
running
that like
into
to rip other people off.
What's that other one? The 1 hour.
They assume everybody's ripping them off.
The 1 hour that ran into a house or something.
Yeah. So I did do a video on that company, and I heard they can be pretty litigious. So I'm hoping I don't get reached out by their attorneys.
Their
'cause
lawyers.
I did make fun of
1 hour. What was the deal?
I don't know if you guys saw it a while back. There was one that like ran into a house. No, like their van was just in the front, went through the front. They're in a lot of trouble. They're always making the news for bad reasons.
Ventilation, man.
Fresh air.
Right. He backs out, comes in there. It's like, that'll be $1,200, ma'am.
But man, that one there, like, and he left all his damn tools, his tool bag and everything. He wasn't gonna go back for that.
He took what was important to him. He took his umbrella and his little stool. But he didn't worry about the tools, man, because I mean, you don't need tools to condemn compressors. You know, condemn units.
He had the white shirt, button up, everything.
Yeah, and the little Bluetooth earpiece. That's another telltale.
Oh yeah,
sign. It's like that's you always know you're dealing with somebody shady. Even back when those things first came out, like mid 2000s. Like if you saw a guy with a little Bluetooth earpiece, I'm like, that guy's a big like just know. But yeah, I mean, that's what just infuriates me about this industry, that people do that. They take advantage of the desperation that people have to get up and going. And the fact that, well, if I call another company for a second opinion, then I'm going to pay another service charge. And then they use high pressure sales. They try to get people to make a decision on the spot. They don't want them talking it over with their spouse. They want to just try to sell them on, well, for the low monthly payment of $200 a month, you can have this. And they're not telling them that's a 9.99% interest rate over 132 months. Like they're not telling them all that. And unfortunately, there's enough consumers out there that fall for that. And I don't know. It's like, do you blame I know you guys are the HVAC wolves, but the word comes, do you blame the wolf for getting in the hen house? He's a wolf. You know, it's like, do you blame these companies? Do you blame the hens for being hens? I don't know, man.
Exactly, because they're just doing what works for them. I mean, they're making money. They're out there. Some of these techs are being trained to do stuff like that, and it's a shame because I think they even said it in the video. Like there was two that did well, and there's always going to be like a bad apple that ruins it.
But we as consumers have a responsibility to take care of ourselves and to make good decisions and to do research. And so these folks that fall for it, I think kind of deserve it. Now, who doesn't deserve it is like maybe somebody that's like an elderly person or somebody that just doesn't have any way to look something up or to verify things. But yeah, it infuriates me, man. There's no more righteous of a cause in our industry than the fight against these guys.
And it's like as a technician or as a company, even it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like if I'm doing honest work, then I'm missing out on money because another company comes in and upsells the crap out of something, right? So it's like, oh man. So like it's a lot. It's a lot to take in and kind of it's hard to stay to being an honest tech and all that. Like I had one today.
It is.
That I'm gonna go back to. I'm waiting for them to make the decision because I gave them a choice, right? It's an older. I forgot to look up the serial number on it, but it's an older Train RTU. I found like 3 leaks, but they're visible. They're micro leaks, and I told them I can patch this up. Change out the dryer, and I'm gonna cut out those damn Cormax fittings because they're leaking too.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do all this. It's probably gonna cost you less than a couple grand, right? It's not a big deal. It's 410A. It's not that bad. But the system is older. The fins, the coil is a little bit worn down a little bit. It's not bad. It's not the worst one I've seen, but I can come in tomorrow morning, patch it up for you, get it going because they're just worried about it on these hot days. Or if you want to get a new unit, let me know. And they might get us and some other companies to bid on it. So I make more money on the repairs anyway, but
per billable hour,
But still, sometimes you want to just tell them, oh, you need a new unit, and then sometimes it's fixable. So I'm giving them the option.
Yeah,
I always give
you always Mountain Dew in there and try to speed it up.
Of course, that. What's that other? What's the Walmart version? Mountain Fresh or something. Put a little bit of that in there. We'd be good. Yeah, you can't go wrong with making recommendations, repairs versus replaces. Just give them the options. That's what I always do. It's just the easiest way to cover your ass. But it's like, dude, I can easily might cost you a little bit, but just might last
because
forever.
I told the lady there because she was like, oh, like they just want it fixed. I'm like, okay, let me because I'm waiting for a text back about it. Like I can either, like I said, do the repairs in the morning and get you going, or if you guys are gonna end up buying because they buy their own equipment. I'll come back, top it off, and you go with us or whoever you want to replace it.
Yeah, that's tough. Let me ask you this: in your business, do you lose money on a service call, and with the hopes of getting a few more service calls and knowing that you got to make it back up on a repair, or do you charge more for a service call and actually get paid for the diagnostic work that you do? Just in case they don't give you the work. Like, what's your mentality on this? Because I'm trying to figure that out for my business. I did it one way before, and now I'm trying to go the other way. But what does that look like for you guys?
So the way I do it is, if like I'm there, make the diagnostic, it's a $99 fee, right? Come out there, we make and if we can't do it right then and there, we at least try to collect that.
Sorry.
Big T in the house. Yo, hey, Tito, what's up, bud?
Big T.
So, so $99. Yeah, just not two, just the one.
Not plural.
Well,
it's a big one and a little one. Came in first and third in what t-shirt contest.
Oh, that's terrible.
Sorry, Tito.
Yeah, that's funny. And then I just try to collect that one that way, and then if they want to repair it, we'll take that away for the cost at a discounted rate. It'll be like $49 or something, and then at least try to collect. If they're like, oh, I got to make a decision later, that's fine. Like I had one, it was a 2001 compressor. I was like, it was locked up. We can do this, or this. Got the $100 still, and never heard back.
Yeah.
So like,
now, are you okay with Oh, go ahead, Adrian. I'm sorry.
Just real quick, like in what we've done is we used to do it. We've done it both ways. So like we used to give them breaks on things here and there, and I might still give them, but it's not like I'm not giving them free parts or anything, but like on the labor, portion. But before we would give them breaks, or because we have NTEs. I know. I think Mike had brought it up in the chat. We have these prices like right now it's 500. We're not supposed to go over 500 unless they approve it, and I got to get all that before I can even charge for that bigger bill. But we used to do smaller bills, like invoices, and then hopefully like my dad would tell me like we're gonna make it up on the next one, or something like that. And that's how we started giving breaks and doing all that. But now I've kind of doubled down on like the price is a price. So I think we're comfortable enough now that we get enough work, we make enough money that we're just if we lose the work, like it's been happening recently, we lose bids. And that comes back to me, and I start thinking about it. Like, should I have come down? Should I have given them a break and this and that? Yeah. But like, I at this point, I just want to stay to what our price is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm running into the same thing here. To me, I know like what I need to walk away from each day that I work, and sometimes I meet that target, and sometimes I don't. Yeah, but sure. I know what a service call costs me, and it if you did nothing but $99 service calls, you'd have to do a lot of them in a day.
Yeah, you'd be doing for sure.
Yeah, so
those are the guys that run 10 to 15 calls a day.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to actually do the exact opposite, and I know there's companies that have adopted this, and this is something that MeasureQuick pushes, but do less calls, charge more for the calls. Now,
straight up,
you're going to lose work, but what I do is the very lowest service call fee that I do is actually $279.
Well, you wouldn't have lasted wherever Nasty used to work. He said he had NTEs of 175.
Yeah, I know, man.
Screw that.
Book the call. But I do a full system assessment every single time. So it's 60-point assessment. Same thing that I do every PM,
maintenance,
whatever. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking at a real estate transaction, and I know that I'm going to be there, I'm going to be at that house 2 hours. So $279 still doesn't pay for what I think 2 hours of my time is worth. But if I charge any more, I would never get a call. Now I book like 1 out of 3 calls that come in, and I'm okay with that. Like
you have to be.
And so I don't, and I'll have employees to feed, and I'm okay if I don't get any calls that day. But I totally get it. In my last business, we were a $99 service call, and but I was dumb enough to think I was actually making money on a $99 service call because I was paying my guys. This is years ago. Maybe I'm paying them $25 an hour, and so I'm like, all right, well, I'm making 4 times that. No, you're not.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy how it or everything else
gets
adds
the
up.
truck to the front door, and then whatever else is added on the ticket, is
yeah. Because I've had that argument with my dad because like my dad started this business, and he started at like it might have even been less, but I remember 55 an hour, right? And it might have been a little bit less than that. I remember like a 45 or 50 number as well, but I kept having to tell him, I'm like, we're doing okay, but we're not really making anything, right? So over time, I've gotten him to come up to where I feel comfortable with it because, like, we used to work out of a pickup truck, whatever, but like the vans that we have, gas, insurance, like the whole, like everything, and that's what customers don't understand. Like it costs money to get these vehicles out there. We're stocked, all this stuff, and we're. At least the good ones, we're certified, licensed, insured, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's people don't realize that, and the things that we don't realize are actually expenses until so when you got to replace a van, all of a sudden, even if you buy a used van these days, that's $30,000. So really, you're planning to replacing an asset, even though it's not on your books yet. You need to be counting that as a business expense. Even though it's not technically on accounting, it's not an expense. It's not even an expense when you go buy it. It's considered an asset that depreciates. But you have to treat it when you're planning and figuring out what your actual expenses are. You have to treat it as one. When you start doing that math, you realize that $200 an hour is actually a little bit on the fair side. Like, we really shouldn't be charging much less than that if we really want to meet the goals of our business, which is driving good stuff, having a lot of training opportunities, keeping everybody trained, paying our techs good, benefits. Everybody else gets vacations. We deserve to have vacations.
I started taking more vacations recently, and then it
costs money.
I finally got a transit van. I'm all like, super stoked about it. Like, I finally have a nice van. But my dad's been going through some vans right now, because we do get them used as well, or sometimes, and like they break down, and he's had to replace his a few times, and he had that whole the stroke thing, and for some reason he says he can't drive a van anymore because he had my old Express, so he had to go out and get a truck, just a nice little work truck that feels more comfortable. So like, these expenses come up constantly, and you got to make enough.
Yeah, you have to plan for. Well, it used to be you planned for 4% inflation every year, and the last few years, it was like 7, 8, 9%. Who pays for that?
Try explaining to the customer the refrigerant inflation.
Yeah. And so it is very tough out there. And I think we can play into that if you're transparent with your prices, and you say, this is out of that $200 an hour, 13 of it is going to pay for insurance, and 40 of it's going to pay for the direct wages of my tech, and another 20 of that's paying for the benefits that I pay the tech. And you start showing them how that breaks down. I've heard that people have done that, and some people understand that. Like, they're like, oh, well, I guess it doesn't really sound too bad afterwards. The other thing that I started doing is I don't mark up parts, equipment, or anything. I do a gross profit margin, which means that, like, I tell the customers, if this part costs me $100, I'm actually reselling the part to you at $100. You're paying me for the installation fee, because people have Amazon. They know that a capacitor costs $15. I'm not going to try to lie to them. So I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm buying the same capacitors. Actually, I'm buying a better capacitor, because I only buy the made USA, the good ones. But I'm like, okay, fine. The capacitor cost me $25. I'm charging $25 for the capacitor. I'm charging another $200 for me to put it in and check the unit out, do a complete checkup after I do it, and do all your wiring checkup and everything else. So you're paying $200 on top of that. And some people tell me to get lost, so I'm like, no problem.
It ain't worth it.
That's right.
But do you collect that $279 still, or?
Yeah, like the $279 is collected before I even show up, and I tell them, look, I'm not going to cancel this call.
All right, I'm coming.
We're going to collect it on the front end, and I promise you, I will be there within that window. Now, I get it. It's hard for, like, I'm not running a company, man. I'm a one-man consulting business, so I'm not out there running 8, 10 calls a day, getting behind. I remember those days. So this works for me. It may not work for other companies, but I do a lot of that stuff on the front end, and that's a way of vetting customers. You vet the cheapskates, the ones that aren't ready to make a decision. They put skin in the game. And what happens is, I think a lot of these companies now are not even charging anything to go out and diagnose the system. Like, if you're a consumer, do you really think, what do you think they're going to do when they show up? If they're not charging anything to diagnose the system, they are going to break one off in you. Whatever they find, it's going to hurt. If it's a broken wire, it's refrigerant leak.
You're going to get that Thor coming through.
1736.
Yeah, the Thor treatment, man. Thor's hammer will drop on you.
All right.
But
well,
I think about this stuff a lot, and I like hearing y'all's perspective of it. I'm sorry if
I appreciate you for coming on.
I don't get out much.
I know we lost Kurt. It seemed like you had somewhere to go, but I appreciate you coming out, man. And I don't know, maybe we'll do it again sometime. I look forward to some more of your videos that you hopefully have coming out. And thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me on.
Sir.
I had a blast. Let's do it again.
Of course.
For sure. I appreciate everybody in the chat. We will see you guys next